Speaking of skill sets, guys, I want to talk just for a minute about the difference between skill sets and techniques, right? Because a lot of people come to me and they think they have skill sets, but what they actually have is a technique or just an exercise. Not even always technique. Sometimes it's just an exercise. Something like deep breathing, learning relaxation. These are skill sets. They're not just exercises. You actually get better at learning how to breathe. And that may sound a little strange, but it's really not. You know, when you first begin to learn how to do slow, deep breathing, you can get dizzy. You can't go very long. Your mind jumps in, especially with like mindfulness practices. You know, you start to, your mind gets busy. You can maybe do it 30 seconds, a minute. You're just not very good at it. Even breathing, deep, slow breathing. I mean, we obviously know how to breathe, right? You've been doing it your whole life without ever thinking about it. But when you start counting your breaths and slowing down, you know that's tough. But it's something you get better at, and you can start to slow your breaths down to where you're not just doing what I do, the 4-2-6 method, which is 4 seconds inhalation, 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000. Hold for 2 seconds, 1,000, 2 1,000. Exhale for 6 seconds, 1 2 3 4 5 6. Repeat. That's tough. I mean, even that's tough. Sometimes people can't even do that. We'll start smaller. Matter of fact, don't even count your breath. Just be aware of your breath and start to slow it down a little bit. Maybe 10%, 15%, 25%. And you start to build. And before you know it, you're doing like 10 seconds of inhalation. You're holding for 5 or 7 to 8 seconds, and you're exhaling for 12 seconds. I mean, you can get to that point. And at that point of skill set building, a breathing exercise that's turned into a skill set, your pulse drops way down. Your blood pressure comes way down. Your incessant thoughts become very slow. You start to access good chemistry, much more amounts of these chemistry than you did initially. It's a skill set. You become better at it. Same is true with mindfulness, especially with mindfulness. It's not like walking on a treadmill, right? You don't become better at walking at a treadmill. You don't need to practice walking and learning techniques of walking. It's not a skill set that necessarily you build upon. You just put the left foot in front of the right foot, and then the right foot in front of the left foot, and repeat. That's walking. So when you're thinking of these exercises, if you're doing what I always preach, the lulling and the pushing exercises, think about, are you doing an exercise? Are you practicing a technique? Or are you learning a skill set? Right? Be able to differentiate skill sets from these other things. And if you are learning a skill set, well, then make sure your mind's wrapped around it and that you're not treating it like a technique or like some kind of exercise, like it's washing the dishes. You know, but if you see it as a skill set, then there's a humility to it. You become humble. You realize, I'm not going to be really good at this at first, but through practice, this thing's going to get better and better and better. And that's the hope in it. That's what will keep you practicing mindfulness. That's what will keep you practicing deep breathing and these other things, is knowing that these things are indeed an exercise, or excuse me, a skill set. I mean, technically, you can look at all of this as an exercise, but you understand what I'm saying. It's different deep breathing than doing a bicep curl or something to that effect, right? Even something like yoga is a skill set you build. You learn upon these techniques, but to master that, to become really good at it, that's a skill set, right? Cognitive reframing is a skill set. It's not just an exercise. You know, I mean, at first you're terrible at it, but by the end you get so damn good at cognitive reframing. You get so good at getting out of your own way. You can thwart a panic attack in minutes, right? Learning relaxation techniques, learning how to be relaxed again. That is a skill set, my friends. And many of us have totally forgot how to relax. Even if, I mean, you could be at the beach, laying there on the beach, and you're in your mind, you're working in your head, your body's filled with tension. Not just your body, your soul, your spirit has an inner tension. There's an inner tension going on there. And we have to learn again how to relax. How do I exhale? How do I let it go? How do I surrender? How do I find acceptance? I mean, even in a sense of a muscle memory here, you have to retrain your body to understand and accept relaxation And then that builds, that grows. It's a skill set. Relaxation is a skill set. Deep breathing becomes a skill set. Mindfulness is a skill set. Cognitive reframing is a skill set. Talking yourself off of ledges is a skill set. Practicing gratitude even becomes a skill set. You know, and a lot of you are in therapy, and you know your therapists are working with you every week trying to build skill sets. So again, look at these things for what they are. They're skill sets. They're something that you're not going to be good at, or you're likely not going to be very good at initially, and you're going to get better at. And the reward in it is you're going to have, a lot of positivity coming from whatever the skill set is. If it's deep breathing, you're going to access more chemistry. You're going to slow your thoughts and your incessant rumination down much further. You're going to be able to alleviate, which is all translates to alleviating benzo withdrawal symptoms, right? That's the reason, guys, for all of this skill sets, all of this stuff you're doing is Operation Reduce Benzo-Induced Suffering, right? That's our insurance that we will be better on the other side, that we won't have to get back on this drug, that we will make it through this, that we can rewire our nervous system. So just some thoughts on skill sets, because it's pretty important. And while for some of you, you might think, well, that's really obvious, Dave. But listen, there's a lot of people that it's not so obvious. And they if you ask them, are they practicing a skill set, a technique, or an exercise, they couldn't really tell you. Maybe they would all sweep it under the rug of just an exercise, or it's a technique. Grounding yourself. Yeah, sure. And at some point it is semantics. If I say, here's an exercise, it is a little bit of semantics, right? Here's a quote unquote exercise and grounding yourself. You know, I want you to say you're walking and you start to become panicked. And I say, I want you to bring your consciousness immediately to your senses. What do you smell? Name 2 things that you smell. Name 2 things that you see. Name 2 things that you hear. Name 2 things that you feel, right? And you repeat this, and this is an exercise in grounding. It gets you away from that intrusive monster, that stampede of benzo-induced rumination or intrusive thoughts that come stampeding in your brain. This is a grounding technique, quote unquote. It's a grounding exercise, but more than that, it is actually a skill set. So at first, this will be very difficult, but then you'll get better at it. Then you can get there quick, a snap of a finger. You're at that place. Boom. So skill set building, my friends. Ask yourself if you're doing it. Ask yourself, do you need it? And I will talk to you soon. Godspeed.